Today we're going to take a deep dive into the Kinetic Converter, a legendary mod with an expectation to provide 15% increased fire rate across a wide range of weaponry, including the arpeggio, the rattler, the kettle, the pharaoh, and the renegade. In addition, the weapon does fit the Stitcher, the El Toro, the Torrente, and the Osprey. It's not rated for these weapons. Will it have an effect on them? So we're at the range, heavily encumbered, 9 weapons to test today. Now, before we start, we're not looking for pure accuracy. What we're looking at is how fast can we cycle through a weapon, and does the Kinetic Converter increase that cycle rate by 15%? Of course, we'll look at the accuracy implications, but my main concern is the claimed increase in fire rate. So here we go with the Rattler up first. It's a level 4 Rattler. All these weapons have been taken up to level 4. We've got some good modifications on them to help stabilize them and get the best performance. Let's see if the Kinetic Converter really adds any value. First of all, the standard Rattler. 2.5 seconds. Very respectable, minor recoil weapon you feel perfectly happy with. Now, what happens when you put the Kinetic Converter on? .2. That's a saving of 0.3 of a second. That could be significant, and over such a short cycle rate, I'm pretty impressed by that. The AR was perhaps the easiest option for the Kinetic Converter. How it's going to help us with the kettle is less clear. As a semi-auto, this is going to be very much user operation dependent to cycle through, and I'm really not sure how the Kinetic Converter is going to assist us, but let's have a look. First of all, the standard weapon, 25 shots. .7 seconds, very accurate, comfortable weapon. Let's see if I really rush it. Caring less about accuracy, can I cycle through spamming the trigger any faster? Yes, I can. 3.9. I wouldn't in real life situations because I did lose accuracy. But yes, you can physically cycle through it that fast. Some of you may be able to do it significantly quicker. Let's see what kind of effect the Kinetic Converter may have on this. 4.3. I did notice a little bit more recoil. It was harder to position, harder to cycle through quickly. In fairness, I'd say that's busted. I personally wouldn't see any advantage in taking the Kinetic Converter out with the kettle. I'm not quite sure why it's rated for that weapon, unless there's a full auto mod available for the kettle down the line. Anyway, onwards and upwards. Let's look at the arpeggio. A burst action auto. Perhaps it can increase the overall cycle rate, but let's take a look. .28 rounds, 3.4 seconds, pinpoint accuracy and no recoil. A beautiful level 4 arpeggio. And now with the Kinetic Converter. just the smallest amount of additional recoil and just a smidgen faster at 3.3. I mean, again, I don't see any major benefit there. The Arpeggio's a very competent weapon. The Kinetic Converter doesn't seem to add much to that mix. The Ferro, I mean, this one's bizarre. As a break action, it's all user operation that's going to affect the timing. I can't see how the Kinetic Converter can make any difference at all. But let's have a look. I'm going to put 8 rounds through. "19 seconds dead." I mean, you can just feel it's so user dependent on the reload or on the trigger pull, on the aim. It's hard to see how the Kinetic Converter is going to affect this, but it is rated for this weapon. So let's take a look. 19 seconds to beat, 8 rounds. Well, 18.2. It is 0.8 seconds faster over that longer 19-second total. But you know, I don't feel I got a benefit there. Certainly, a precious, legendary modification like this, I wouldn't be wasting it on the Pharaoh. I didn't see the advantage. The Renegade, you know, as a 12-shot mag, I feel we may see something here. Let's take a look. Yeah, the leveled up Renegade is a glorious weapon. 7.4 seconds. Let's see what we can get with the Kinetic Converter. It is a little bit quicker. It didn't seem to have any drawbacks. You know, I might use it. I didn't feel like it was a huge benefit, but you know, it's rated for the Renegade. It did improve its time. You might want to take it as an option. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The next 4 weapons are not rated for the Kinetic Converter, but the Stitcher as a full auto, surely it's going to help. 2.1 seconds. I'm going to do that again because I want to make sure of the baseline before we move on and put the Kinetic Converter on. 2.1. Completely consistent, very minor recoil, very capable weapon. Let's put on the Kinetic Converter and see if it affects the performance. Definitely more recoil, but 1.8 seconds. That's quite something. Let's try it again and make sure that wasn't an anomaly. Completely consistent. You do have to bear in mind there is a slight additional recoil challenge with the Stitcher, with the Kinetic Converter, but if you're good at recoil management, there's a clear advantage to using it. Now, what happens if we take the compensator off and put the muzzle brake on? I feel that may reduce some of the recoil and make the Stitcher Kinetic Converter mod more practical. Oh yes, yeah, that was much smoother. That may be the way to go with the stitcher. Completely uniform results. 2.1 without the kinetic converter, 1.8 with. That's a big thumbs up for the stitcher kinetic converter combo. Now, the Il Toro pump action shotgun. Can we cycle through the 12 rounds any quicker than we can without the kinetic converter? It's not rated for it, so perhaps not, but let's take a look. .7 seconds, very precise. This leveled up El Toro stays on target and gets the job done. .5, fairly consistent. Now, with the kinetic converter, again, it's not rated for the El Toro, but can it make any improvement on the overall cycle time? The recoils are immediately more noticeable, more pronounced, but it's quite good fun, and you can get back on target before the recoil cycle's over. 9.4, it's a big win for the kinetic converter. Let's just do that again and make sure it wasn't a fluke. Yeah, and this is great fun. And 9.4, completely consistent. That's pretty clear. There's definitely a strategic advantage to using the stitcher and the El Toro with the kinetic converter. Moving on, the one I've been looking forward to most, the 94 round magazine Torrente. A beast of a weapon. Let's just check out its standard performance at level 4, fully modded out. Oh, it's a visceral experience. 7 seconds. Now the kinetic converter. Definitely more recoil. 6.1. In the immortal worlds of Jules Winfield, when you absolutely positively have to clear every mofo in the room, except no substitute. And lastly, and perhaps most bizarrely, the Osprey. Now, it's not rated for the Osprey, it's a bolt action sniper. I'm not expecting anything here, but let's give it a go. Beautiful weapon, the Osprey. No recoil. You do have to go out and back into ADS throughout the cycle, but it's incredibly accurate. I'm not being incredibly accurate here because I'm just cycling as fast as possible. So let's see what we can get. 24.9. What is that? A 12-shot magazine? I believe so. Let's have a look. Yeah, 12-shot magazine. Now with the kinetic converter. I mean, I really don't think we're going to see anything special here, but let's have a go. it was marginally quicker, but I think that was mainly user operation. I don't think it added any significant, if any, advantage at all there. And it's not rated to, so you wouldn't expect it. But good fun. 9 weapons through the Kinetic Converter. What's the overall impression? Well, this is where it looks a little bit bizarre, because clearly it's a benefit on the Rattler, but the other weapons it's rated for, not so much. I mean, the Arpeggio, the Renegade, maybe a small performance increase, but the Kettle and the Ferro, absolutely not. Wouldn't bother with it. Then you go to the weapons where it's not rated, and the Stitcher, the Il Toro, and in particular the Torrente, which I think could be its best use case, and you're really seeing some real advantage. So it's a slightly bizarre weapon, just the way it's been rated, perhaps incorrectly for the wrong weapon variants. But look, it has its place. It's a great mod. Hope you have fun with it. Until next time, see you in Speranza.